We are live by the looks of it. Waiting.
We are live.
Oh, I can't see it.
It's up. I can see it.
It's up. Okay, well, I can't see it, so I'm just going to keep on talking. It won't matter as long as you can see it. That's the main thing. All right. Hello, everybody. We are live from our computers tonight. Welcome to TrishRockTV. I'm sorry we are a little fashionably late tonight, but that's all good. All right. So tonight I'm super excited. We are interviewing the amazing Michele Scott has been kind enough to come and be one of our guests. Michele is a leading expert in numerology, holistic counselor and meditation teacher, radio talk show hostess, and the founder of our wellness community.
Yay!
Michele is a truth seeker and has long been on the path of spiritual and self-development. First, seeking the answers to those questions she asked as a teenager: who am I? Why am I here? And what is my purpose? Since then, Michele has studied many metaphysical modalities, and after spending a couple of decades in the wellbeing and life coaching field, Michele says lasting happiness is not found in what we do or in how we look or what we own. It's about your inner world and a self-appreciating relationship that goes up in value, Michele says. When you know, understand, and believe in yourself, you become unwavering and unafraid to walk. That has been carved out especially for you, and you do so with ease, grace, and authenticity. I love that. Brought me chills. It's my absolute honor and pleasure to introduce Michele Scott. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Yay. Thank you. How exciting. It's so exciting to be on the other end and to just relax back into doing what I love to do, which is talk.
Yes. And me too.
Hence why we love this work so much, Trish.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And it's interesting, isn't it? Because I used to really fear being in this kind of environment, but now I love it because you can just reach so many more people, as you know. So
yes,
really
yes.
So Michele, in that introduction, it told people a lot of things that you do. Tell us a little bit about your community and what part purpose has played in building these sacred spaces in your community.
Yeah, lovely. I'd love to talk about our wellness community. Yeah. So it's called our wellness community, and when I was reflecting on this, actually, Trish, I thought about those questions as a teenager. They just really plagued me. And who am I? Why am I here? What is my purpose? And so I reckon the first part of my life was the purpose for me was to find the answers to those questions.
Yeah.
And the second part of my life has become, I found so much through the pursuit of the answers to those questions. I found so much that now the second part of my life, my purpose is to share everything that I found. So, those questions took me overseas for 3 years.
Wow.
Those questions took me to India, Nepal for 4 months, and that's when that's where my spiritual foundation, my spiritual belief system, that's where the magic of believing. I found that fabulous book called The Magic of Believing. It changed my mindset. It changed my attitude, and everything about that 4-month period at 25 years old just set me up beautifully for everything that came after it. Living the same kind of life as everybody else, with its triumphs and tragedies, its disappointments and downturns, the U-turns, the dead ends, all the things that we thought, the plan that we thought was going to work out beautifully, that didn't. And if I hadn't found what I had found, all of that just would have shaken me about. All of that would have just derailed me. But instead, it really became, the more I pursued the answers to those questions, the more I learnt, the more experiences I had, the more challenges I overcame. So now, in our beautiful community, I bring all of this knowing and knowledge. I bring all of the many ways that I've grown better in body, mind, heart, and soul. But along the way, I also found so many beautiful women, gifted women, talented women, experienced and skilled like yourself. And so our wellness community was born, where I wanted to spruik about the wellness. Each and all of us in the wellness business, we have a story, and that story is so interesting and insightful. And I've always been I've always loved stories. I've always learned from observing and listening to other people's stories. And so our wellness community is all about, it's for those that are seeking, it's for those that want to learn. So I kind of put it like this, that it's for, seekers and students, it's for leaders and speakers and healers. But all of us that heal, we need healing. All of us that can teach, we still need to learn. So it's a beautiful, never-ending cycle of giving and receiving, and that's the purpose of the community. Is that we're all at different parts of the journey, and then we can help because we've been there, or we can be helped because someone else has been there before us. So I can talk long about the community there, but I think that that's the role that purpose has played in my life. That without purpose, I really think that all the setbacks and all the stress, strain, struggle that I've been through, just as everybody goes through, if they're spiritual beings living this human incarnation, I just wouldn't have grown better. I feel I've grown better through all of that, and that's what the community and our message is all about.
That's perfect, and I think it's lovely to have that community when you are growing personally, because sometimes those challenges we feel aren't part of wellness, but they are actually part of wellness, because without the contrast, we can't experience our full potential. So
yes, isn't it interesting? I used to think that I love that you brought that up, because Trish, that's exactly what I thought when I first got to India and Nepal. I started with this book and that book, and read so many books and met so many people that all started to, all the pieces started of the puzzle of who I was and why I was, and what it was all meant to be about started to come together. And honestly, I thought I had found it. I thought, right, so this is enlightenment. I have found enlightenment, and I will never be swayed. Again, I was on the road, baby. And then, of course, I flew back to London after 4 months in India, Nepal, and the serenity of, the mountain tops. And I flew back to London and got back in with, I was 25, for God's sake. I was still living and loving and learning. And yeah, you're quite right. I don't know why it is that we think that spiritual and wellness is some kind of a rival. There's no, it's a journey. Life is a journey.
It is a journey, and and that's actually, I see it as a really great contrast. So now, instead of, if I'm having a really bad day, or a bad week, instead of being in the fetal position in the corner of the floor and not being able to kind of come out of it, I think to myself, wow, there's an opposite to this. I'm going to be in so much joy later on today.
Exactly. And exactly. And I'm the same. I always think, and this is the message that we share, that that's what's so fantastic about fear. That's what's so great about challenges. It's about knowing that, you know, you've been through it before. That's the beauty of being at the phase and stage and the age that we are in life, that we've kind of been through some challenges already. And so we know that the next one, I always think, oh, I wonder what kind of beautiful I'm growing into now. I wonder what skill.
I wonder what skill, that's it. And, you know, and I love that it's all about purpose. You know, that's something a lot of people are wanting to find what the purpose is, but really to live each day with the purpose to find more joy in your life is a beautiful purpose as well. So
exactly. It doesn't have to be, we don't have to have all these lofty, you know, we think that, you know, purpose must mean that, you know, I'm here to be Oprah, or it always seems to be that there's a kind of lofty thinking behind it, that it needs to be money oriented, or it needs to be celebrity status, or, you know, how about it's very difficult every day to be nice to everybody. How about if we just mastered, you know, simple kind of simple acts of kindness like that every day? You know, there's a tremendous amount of so, you know, I mean, I just love talking about this sort of shit, you know, that really the journey of getting to know you, what if that's all it's about? What if it's just about learning how to live with yourself? Then it's learning how to live with others. And then it's about, as you said, that, you know, search for knowledge, and there's so many, but as long as you've got one, that's if I've learned anything at all, I've learned, Trish, that if you haven't got a purpose, if you don't have a purpose, and the times that I felt that I didn't have one, that was a journey in time with there was no light at the end of the tunnel. I feel like when you lose purpose, and it doesn't have to be some big thing, but just a little thing, you know, when Mum died, my purpose was just to get out of bed every day and take care of my son. That's all I had the capacity to be purposeful about. But if you have purpose, it gets you out of bed, and if you don't, it makes you don't have that hope, and if you don't have hope and you don't have joy, then this is how we slip into.
Exactly, and it doesn't have to be grandiose. And I think your community is a really great place, you know, to experience that. So we've spoken a little bit about the community. You've built that around wellness.
Yes.
Talk us through your show, because you have a TV show as well, a wellness show.
I do, and you know, I probably started for the same reasons as you. Although Trish, I also have to say, talking about purpose and how initially I just went in search of me. You know, who am I? Why am I? You know, what is this all about? This thing called life? Because I just really felt that there had to be more. There had to be more to it than just you know. Growing up and meeting the one and getting married and having some children. There had to be more to it. Not that there's anything wrong with any of that. That's a beautiful path to take as well, you know, and there's been lots of joy that I've found in that. But I just always had that, you know, there had to be more. And then it's interesting that that pursuit of self and personal and spiritual development, in my 30s, I found a spiritual college, and I found a path and a way to actually create a business out of it, which was the biggest surprise to me. I thought, oh, because up until then it had just been my personal thing, my own little hobby and passion. And then I realized, oh, wow, you know, all of this metaphysical stuff, I could actually study. Firstly, I could study it in earnest. And then I was invited to teach at this college, and then I started reading and coaching and all the rest of it. But now, because I'm in my 50s now, what I've realized is that every single thing I didn't know what the big vision was. And I guess I still don't, because I'm still alive, so it's still a journey. I still don't know what's up ahead. But just even being where I'm at, I can look back now, Trish, and see how every little thing has led to the next thing. So the thing about having a show, even though the Wellness Conversation show, it started, I think it was about 18 months ago when the wellness community, you know, it went from the Numerology group to our wellness community, and it's grown from 250 to well over 1,000 members now. So it's a very fast growing and sacred space for wellness. And so even though that is only 18 months old, I started the show because I had all of these fabulous women, and I found them, their story, their message. I loved the conversations I would have with them in real life. And so what I wanted to do was to take that conversation from all of these places that we were having them, and ideally I would love to have a kitchen table, actually way before Jada Pinkett started doing it, you know, and just chat the way women chat. In, you know, women, we just have these really, and not that men don't have them either, I'm not saying that, but I just loved the chat. And so, you know, that's why it was born, because I wanted to share, I wanted to hear the story, and I found it informative and interesting, and I felt and I thought that our community would too. But in actual fact, even though it's only 18 months old, but I've been training for this my whole life, Trish, because like you, as a child, in numerology, I've got a challenge. My first challenge was number 2. And I've got the energy that are part of my inherent nature are actually not this person that speaks before you. I was actually shy, quite the introvert, very, very placid, very, you know, very don't look at me. And so it was interesting. Every place that my experience took me to, every person, every you know, at late 20s, I think it was, I started working for a lady. She had a promotions company, and I went along, and it was those kitchens, you know, when you cook and people come along and you give them tastings.
Yes.
She had the speaker box and she had the microphone. And I said, oh, I'm not doing that. She said, no, you don't have to do that. Don't worry, you don't have to do that. Anyway, I'm cooking along. I'm out of my comfort zone. I've never done any of this sort of type of work before. I came from that office background. And then suddenly she grabbed the microphone and just shoved it, you know, shoved it in front of my mouth and said, I said, oh, I can't do that. And she said, oh, it's not even on. Don't worry about it. Just start speaking. It's fine. And so that was the first time the microphone was thrust, you know, and actually what happened was that I started speaking, and then she turned it up, and I don't think I've stopped ever since. But it has been a journey, but I look back now and think, wow, I was always heading towards where I'm at now. So it started as a webinar show, like yourself, and then lo and behold, we were asked again if it's part of, and I'd always believed that we all have a purpose. We're all here to do what we're here to do, and you know that you're on purpose when you're ready to take that next step. The ground appears before you, and you just have to keep joining the dots. You don't really need to know the big vision, but I've always been good at kind of just going with the flow, knowing when to move forward, knowing when to stand still. And then lo and behold, you know, we've been going at that for about 6 months. Then an opportunity came up on KC Radio, 97.7 FM. And so I applied, and they are amazing down there, beautiful, beautiful. And what I'm loving, Trish, is that everything that we're doing now, all the places that we are being led to, all the people that we are being led to, all have the same community foundation, all have the same sharing, caring, giving, receiving. So, you know, that was beautiful. Then we started our show on KC Radio. It's every Tuesday, 3 to 4 p.m. And then we found Spiritual Events Directory, and now we've taken, we've kind of added more of the woo-woo to that, and that's on Sunday nights at between 6 and 7 p.m. So I'm going to give that a shameless plug as well.
Absolutely, it's perfect. And what we might do when the live's finished, for everybody who's watching and anyone watching the replay, Michelle, we might just get you to type all those links into
lovely, would love to,
into the chat, and then everybody can go and connect with you there. And it is interesting though when you really are on purpose, even if it is not a great purpose at the time, or a grand purpose, even if it is just, you know what, I just want to do what feels right for me today. That purpose, it really leads you always to the next step. And you know, when it was funny when you were talking about the microphone and the thing, and we never really know when these challenges come up where they're going to take us. And the same, well, not the same thing, but you know, quite a few years ago, I was a bingo lady.
Exactly.
I know, and I loved it. I loved it, but I felt really awkward that I still had to do this job when I wanted to be doing my business. And I thought, you know what, I need to just make lemonade out of these lemons. And so I used to practice stage presence as I was calling the bingo.
Exactly.
That's so perfect. And I just thought, and I had so much fun, but we never know where each step is going to take us. So I just think it's amazing.
I love that. I love it.
Now, I want to talk to you about the event, but let's touch on numerology for a moment, because we just mentioned numerology then, and I'm not a trained numerologist, but I do use numbers. I find them fascinating, and even just the basics really does help me on a daily basis. So how did you actually, you know, move into numerology? What brought you there, and how does it change your life on a daily basis?
Changed my life completely. So again, going back to the pursuit of the answers to those questions. So what happened was, Trish, that along the way, that took me to you know, I loved astrology. I found tarot. I loved tarot. I studied tarot, Chinese astrology. I just kept, you know, astrology for the soul. I was just that chick, you know. You were probably that chick too, that every single thing that I could find. I loved Carl Jung. I loved the Myers-Briggs personality indicator. So I just, I read everything. I did everything. I was learning anything and everything to put together this big puzzle of who I am and what was my purpose. What am I here? I was just so unwavering about it. And then what happened was, when I got to my mid-30s and found that spiritual institute, was that everything else I had found, it was a little piece that kept, you know, the little pieces kept falling into place, and I just kept learning more and more about myself and just becoming more and more. To me, it's so important to the journey of self-awareness is so important, because, you know, that saying, to thine own self, you know thyself, and to thine own self be true. And for me, that's just, again, that's also been the bestest thing that I ever did for myself, because I got to know who I was. I got to understand who I was. I got to believe and learn how to have faith in who I was. And along the way, I realized, you know, if you don't make a best friend out of yourself, you're really alone, even if you've got hundreds and hundreds of friends. And you can be your own best friend and have no one, and really be quite full. So I was joining, putting lots of pieces, but none of everything that I had studied was the whole thing. And then I did a reading for someone, and they said in you know, when we were talking before their reading, that they had been interested in numerology as a teenager. And I said, oh, wow, because for me, I didn't find it until I was like 35, 36. But the minute I did, that was it. I fell in love, because I was always, I've got a birthday 4 in numerology, and I've got quite a few 4s and 8s, which 4s and 8s are very practical numbers in numerology. So I'm very spiritual and intuitive. Like, I've got a Pisces moon, but I'm an air sign, you know. I'm an Aquarius sun, and I think I'm an Aquarius ascendant as well. So I'm very, you know, well balanced between the mental, the emotional, and then the intuitive and that practical. I think in the Myers-Briggs I came up with the intuitive stuff as well. So when I found numbers, I was really happy with numerology because it's objective. I was happy with numerology because, well, first, numerology not only showed me everything I already knew about myself, but It answered questions that it explained me in a way that I hadn't seen before, and it tapped into parts of me that no one else had seen, that I had felt on an inner level, but couldn't be seen on that outer level. So it just answered all the questions in full for me. But also what I loved about it, Trish, was that, you know, with tarot and some of the other intuitive tools, it depends on the deck, it depends on who's teaching you, and of course it calls upon your own intuitiveness. And numerology is an intuitive modality too, and of course you bring your own intuition into the craft. But what I liked about it was that it doesn't matter what numerologist you go to, the numbers in terms of cycle are the same amongst all of us. You don't get different different opinions and different points of view about that. Every number in numerology has a personality, characteristics, and traits, and all numerologists agree on what those characteristics are. So I just loved it. And then I found it and it changed me. I got to know me and where I was, why I was, who I was, and what was coming. And I got that full extent of purpose, that full extent. For example, I'm a life path 9. So the fact that I'd always had this desire, I had this desire from my first conscious thought. I had this desire to help. Before I knew anything about anything, I used to think, when Mum used to say, and I was born in South Africa, by the way, Trish, and my mum still used to say, children are starving in Africa. And I used to think, this was my little head, I used to think at that young age, why are people starving? I don't get it. Like, we've got bread here and we make it. We make bread and we make money. Why can't we just give it to them? Why is anybody starving in the world? I didn't get it. And in numerology, I'm a life path 9, which is the humanitarian.
Yeah.
So, you know, and then again, when you trace it back, you know, I loved Imagine by John Lennon. Yeah. That song, I used to play that song so much, and I loved the words. Imagine all the people, you know, living in peace, and again, when I found that out, it was like, so this is why I've always had that strong desire to save, to help, to support, to share. And
that would help. That helps in all your present projects too.
Exactly.
It's a bit like it's like all of us have a fingerprint. It's a bit like a numerological fingerprint as well, which can also be related to the planets. But it is, you know, the time that we come in and all of those dates associated, the numbers associated with that really is another fingerprint, isn't it, of us?
Absolutely. And this is the thing too, Trish, when I found numerology, it helped me. But when I found numerology, it helped me to understand loved ones. It helped me to understand my child. It helped me in parenting. It helped me to understand others. You know, we grow up and we have this, let's conform, let's all be equal. You know, we're not the same. We're all different because we're meant to be different. We've all come to do something. You know, the ways in which we are different is the difference it makes in the world. So we've all come in with this little edge of difference, and yet in all of our endeavours, we all strive to be the same, which is just incredibly stupid to me. It's crazy, why would you want what I've got? You're not me. Find your own path, and then you don't have to work hard at that. But this is what we all do.
I say that quite a bit too. It's like, you know, we all know on an intellectual level that no one else is the same as us. And yet
we're always comparing and we're always competing.
It's crazy.
It's crazy. And so the best gift, I just feel like that's the biggest gift you can give yourself, is to know who you are, to know the path that you're meant to be on. And from there, it's easy to learn everything you need to learn in order to be able to walk that path. That part's easy. The hard part is knowing the path. The hard part is knowing your part, the part you play in the world, and then to honour that and be true to that. That's happiness. And then if you grow into if you become Oprah, if I do become Oprah, that'll just be a nice little bit of but you know, you've got to have fun. That's the only way that you can have fun. I just don't know how you can I don't know how much fun it can be to be striving to do what others are doing, or to be what others are being when that's not you. You can never be what others are. No, so and that's what numerology does did for me, and that's what it does for everybody that I read for, that I can absolutely give them insight into who they are, where they are, why you're there, what's coming, and for you to how you can actually grow into that with ease, grace, and glory.
It just
I love that. Thanks, Margie.
Yeah, it really makes such a difference, because you then understand that you know why whatever you did before didn't work, and
exactly,
such clarity. It really brings clarity. So what is your you've got an event coming up called Future Me 2020 Big Vision Event. Tell everybody about it and how they can get involved.
Yes, I definitely am. Although let's just, I did forget to say, actually, Trish, another exciting little, again, the more I've done that, I've just committed to you know, my path. The way that things are lining up is just incredible. So the other thing about numerology is that starting tomorrow, actually, on Spiritual Events Directory, I've actually got another show, Numerology Talks. Wonderful. So in that show, we're going to, I'm really going to be, it's time to start sharing that. I've kind of, you know, been busy sort of building the community and doing all these other fabulous things. So now, you know, I'm really keen to get back to share that and pass that knowledge on, because it's really interesting that people love numerology, but there's not a lot of people out there doing it.
No, there's not actually. No, it's not as visible or vocal as a lot of the other modalities, and I think it needs to.
We're going to change that. Yes, let's change that. So Future Me is another one of so Trish, within our wellness community, we've got the wellness conversations, which as we said, kind of airs in a few different places, but we also actually run real life events. We've got a wine and wellness evening, and that's like our bestseller, and that's a beautiful, again, what I wanted, Trish, was I wanted a community. You know, when you grow up, and when we were growing up, we knew everybody in the neighbourhood. When we were growing up, you know, parents looked out for each other's children.
Yes.
And you had that, you know, if you needed something or wanted something, you know, it'd be like, oh, yeah, go and see my mate, you know, she's a hairdresser, or here's a mechanic, or there's a Sparky. So I wanted a community like that, a community where we could, you know, share and support and give and receive, but a community that we could actually reach out in that way. Mm-hmm. And so the Wine and Wellness Evenings is another sort of platform that we've built where we can showcase all of the amazing women in our community. There's lots of women in our community that want to come along and be inspired, and there's lots of women in the community that are inspiring, and you know, they've learned this and they want to share that, and you know, it's just all about helping grow better in body, mind, heart, and soul. So Future Me is another big event. It's actually, I guess, we're taking the Wine and Wellness event to a much bigger level. Okay. Holding that on Sunday. It's in Frankston. So if you're in Melbourne, Victoria, especially if you're on the Mornington Peninsula, it's a Kindred Art Space in Frankston, and it's a big day. It starts at 10 and it goes until 4, and it's a ticketed event. It's not like a market or a festival. Like, it's a ticketed event, and you come through the door. We've got a stage, we've got a speaker stage, our wellness stage, and we've got you know, about a dozen collaborators on board, and they'll all be getting up and doing a fabulous talk. We've got the retreat room where, you know, our collaborators will be in and out of that room, sharing what it's like to be part of a woman's circle, sharing what it's like to be part of a retreat, and doing all sorts of fabulous things in there. You know, Sandra Reiser at her women's circles. You know, they created mandalas, you know, Margie with her circles and retreats. I mean, there's all sorts of things that are spiritual and holistic and wellness. So the retreat room will be all about getting into that meditation and, you know, Tibetan sound bowls and all sorts of things. Then we've got a teaching room, and there'll be all sorts of things that are being taught and learnt in there. And we've got our special guest is Julie Lewin, and Julie Lewin, medical intuitive. She's got the Arakira room, and she'll be reading in there, teaching in there, healing in there, and ticket as part of your ticket to the event, you get to a complimentary reading as well. So there'll be readings. So, and then we have some, you know, holistic stalls and all. But Future Me is basically the idea behind it, and we actually are also running a complimentary campaign in January. The idea, Trish, is that, you know, we all come into every new year. What happens every new year? We all come into the new year thinking, oh, I want to change this, that, and that.
Right? It all goes downhill by the second.
I'm going to be, you know, trim-toned and terrific. I'm going to take my business to the next level. I'm going to be rich, you know, and that's exactly right. You know, look, I've been there many times in the past. I've made these big claims about the year. And so what I've learned as I've gotten older, as we've all learned, and this is what we want to share with others who perhaps haven't been there yet, is that, you know, we do all have these things we want to change each and every year, each and every Monday. Every Monday, I'm starting that new, you know, that new health plan. And what we thought about 2020 is that, you know, everybody likes to set new goals for the year. So how about, you know, we all come together, all of us ladies that have learned all sorts of different ways to do this. How about we come together and we show our audience how to build the big vision, how to break the big vision down into small steps they can take every single day. And then, you know, it's all about clearing stuff and, you know, creating new stuff and learning stuff and putting that stuff into action. So Future Me was about, look, this is where you're at now. And if you want to build a better future, you know, there's all sorts of manifesting tools, and I'm a big believer in the magic of believing, and a big believer in the fact that we all have the power to manifest whatever we set our minds to, right? At the same time, if you want a better future, the way to guarantee having that is to actually put a plan in place and to take those steps each and every day until you get there. So that's what Future Me is. Let's imagine, you know, who do you want that chick to be? Who do you want Future Me? How does she look? What is she feeling? What is she doing? You know, where's her mindset at? Physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and then we build back from that. So yeah, we're very excited about it. It's
that's fabulous.
We're getting lots of good feedback.
Yeah, it's so needed. It really is. And, you know, that's a lot of the work I do with clients too, is really getting them into, you know, well, where do you want to be and who is that person that is there? Because you have to become a different person to have something different.
You do. Don't you love that saying? I heard that saying about 15 years ago. I love it. I am such a... you know, in numerology, I don't have, if you have a 0-7, it can sometimes make you a little bit naive. And too many threes and karmic lesson with the 7, and I have been, you know, when I was younger, I could really be a little bit. I have had a couple of co-workers say, Michele, are you blonde on the inside? Right, because you know I can be a little bit dozy. But what I loved about that, I thought to myself, you know, I'm kind of glad that I was a little bit naive, that I was a little bit more trusting. Then maybe that could have gotten me into trouble. I've had some instances where I could have gotten into trouble, but, you know, thankfully I've got my spiritual support team and the universe, you know, watching my back there. But I loved that I was a little bit naive, Trish, because when I hear something, read something, I'm very attracted to the optimistic and the inspirational, and I can hear something and it can change everything for me. So I loved it when I heard that saying, which was, Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. And I thought, oh, that's me. With whatever I was doing back there, you know, that was me. I've done that plenty. And I'm so glad, so pleased that all of these little things came along. And this is why I love the journey. I love what we do. I love how each and all of us, there's so many women on purpose, so many women. And you know, Deepak Chopra, because I love podcasts, I love Oprah, love listening to all those inspirational TEDx and all that sort of stuff. And Deepak Chopra was actually quote, I heard him on Oprah saying that the world will be changed by women in community.
Yeah, yeah. And
I thought, yeah.
You're certainly building that. And
It's
that
powerful.
event sounds amazing. So what we'll do is as soon as we finish the live, for everyone watching, and if you're on the replay, we'll get Michele to type in all of her links. So we want the link to the wellness community. Come along and join that. It's a really beautiful community. And your show, your 2 events on Spiritual Events Directory.
Wow.
And also I guess the Big Vision event is on the wellness community, but you might have a link. And also
we do.
And also head over to Michele's website, it's Numerology. Is it michellescottnumerology.com or?
Yes, so for the numerology, it's and actually on Facey it's at Michele Scott on air, and then the wellness community is our wellnesscommunity.com.au. So yeah, that'd be lovely. Thanks, Trish.
Beautiful.
I'd love to pop the links on there.
Yeah, put all the links up because I really would love everyone to connect with you. That event sounds amazing. And Julie Lewin's a friend of mine, and I know that the Arakira work is really special. So definitely head along there and see Julie as well, because it's really good work. Yeah. So what date is it? Maybe I can get down there too.
That'd be great. It's Sunday the 16th of Feb. And of course, you know, I'm going to get you on our shows as well. And I would love for you to come into the community too, because you are one of these women on purpose as well.
Thank you. Thank you.
Definitely.
Well, it's just been amazing speaking with you, and you're such a bright light in the world, and you know, you're really making a difference on a daily basis with, you know, just 1 or 2 words you might say to someone in the process of a day could change their life, and I know that it does. And on a bigger energetic level, I think you are making that difference, which you probably can't see the big picture at the moment, but you will. You will. You'll probably you'll look back in 20 years and go, I remember when I was just doing those little shows. You know? And now I'm Oprah.
That is awesome. We have been laughing about that. We keep going, oh, Oprah's going to find us. I wonder. I do love her. But, you know, isn't it inspiring? All of these women, I think what we all, the message we're all sending out to the world is that, you know, it's just time. It's time for us to do it. And if I can do it, you can do it too. And I was talking to a beautiful lady today. And we were talking about that no one is any more or any less than anybody else. We've all come to do what we've come to do. And if anyone is stopped from doing that, it kind of stops that whole soul. I believe that we're all part of, you know, a soul group.
Yeah. So
it's really important not only that we do what we've come to do, but that we help others to find what it is that they've come to do, because that's how the whole, the circle is closed, isn't it?
It's really getting people to believe in themselves again. That's really the work. And if you can believe in yourself and obviously knowing your numbers, your numerology footprint or fingerprint is important too, because
I like that.
Then you can really have that belief back in yourself. And that's my passion in this life, is for people to believe in themselves again. And that's why I do what I do. And, you know, when you see that light, when you see that light come back into somebody's eyes, you're just like, aha, there you are.
It's really, really nice, isn't it? It's really nice. It's been, you know, Trish, you've probably been like me. I've been at it and in it and on it for a very long time. And there have been many times where I've just thought, why do I do this? Why am I so driven? I mean, I have just been, it's always been about a meaningful life, and I just can't let it go. But there's been so many moments, you know, it's no overnight success, believe me. And there's been so many moments I wanted to give up. And you know what happened? Every single time I thought, you know, I could swear, you know, whenever I thought, stuff it, I'm not doing this anymore. This is really hard work. It's cost a lot of time, effort, and energy I've poured into this. And what would happen was I'd see someone, or someone would send me a message. I would get some feedback from someone that I had taught, someone I had read for, someone who had heard me, and they'd be like, that reading changed my life. Your course changed my life. One person, and then I'd be like,
yep, back on track.
Back on track.
And that's one of the reasons. That's one of the reasons I love having all these inspiring guests on my show, because it shows people when they're in that spot, like you were just saying, and I've been there too. It's like, oh, I'm never going to live my dream or whatever else. You know, the one or two things, or the whole hour of whatever, you know, people are saying in these interviews could just be the conduit to lift somebody up and say, you know what, I'm going to keep going. And, you know, she's really inspired me today to get up and dust it off and keep going.
Yes, so, exactly.
Yeah.
Woo-hoo.
Yeah, beautiful. And that's what your community does as well. So thank you. All the links will be in the comments very soon. And this is a new hurdle I have to work. I'm doing lives.
I love it.
We'll work all that out and get them in there. And thank you everybody for coming and watching. And thank you, Michele.
Thank you.
Big blessings. Thank you. Look forward to seeing you all next week.
Thank you for having me, Trish.
You are welcome. Thank you. Good night, everyone.
Good night.